Welcome back, broken souls, to Lumon Radio, to the grand manifesto of OSINT. I'm your host, Unfiltered, and this is brought to you by CSI Linux. Today we're set to talk about GeoInt, geospatial intelligence, in analyzing military operations, utilizing satellite imagery for tracking objects such as missiles, the impacts, finding the launch pads, tracing the movement of the units, creating custom maps for conflict tracking, and a bit more on the ADS.
There's a world that lingers beneath the one we see. A world where every sound, every breath, is only a faint reflection of something long dead. They call it echothis, a limbo where everything repeats, distorted, a memory of what once was. Here, even the smallest trace, a number, a name, can echo forever. And in those echoes, the past isn't truly gone. It waits, just out of reach. Tonight, a single phone number begins to unwind the thread of a life. What follows is more than a discovery. It is the slow, deliberate unraveling of something that was never meant to be found again, or someone. And so, we step quietly, never to bother the creeping shadows underneath, into the echoes of the liminal. Act 1. The number. It starts small, as these things often do. 10 digits. Just a phone number, drifting through the air like a leaf caught in a forgotten wind. In Tehran, 2019. A number floated into the hands of the one from the others, the one without a face. A number, meaningless on its own, but in the right hands, it is a key, a reverse lookup, simple tools, an online search, from White Pages, Spokio, Truecaller. Tools that turn numbers into names. And with a name, the first thread is pulled. A name in hand, and the first act is complete. What was once a number, forgotten, is now a tether, a single string leading deeper into the life that left it behind. But names are just the beginning. Act 2. The real name. The name revealed by the number. It didn't feel right. Something about it. Off. Like a reflection that doesn't quite match. The one without a face knew better than to trust the first layer of the web. It had seen too many names shift and slip away like shadows. Names alone don't tell the whole story, but they lead to other things. And so, the number was saved. The one without a face searched WhatsApp, Telegram, anywhere the cracks might show. On WhatsApp, there was nothing. No pictures, no face. But there was a whisper of a clue. Her bio. 2 emojis, simple but telling. A scale and a hammer. Symbols of law, of judgment. This wasn't just a personal number. It was a business line. She was a lawyer, or something close. Then, the one moved to Telegram. It was there that her face emerged, in a series of profile pictures. For the first time, the one without a face saw her. It studied her, knowing the first steps of the doxing had begun. But the one without a face wasn't done. It knew there was more. The next step was delicate. It deleted her number from Telegram, not to erase the connection, but to reveal her true name, the one she called herself. A simple trick in a world built on layers. With the number gone, the chat revealed the name she gave herself, the name she had chosen to live by, not the one assigned by databases. There it was, her first and last name, different from what the reverse lookup had shown. The name felt real, but it didn't match the one found through the reverse search. Two names, tangled in a web of identities. A lawyer, a ghost. Who was she? The one without a face paused. For now, it didn't matter. The shadow wasn't finished. There were other threads to pull. Act 3. Crawling through the web. Tools, after all, are only as good as the hands that wield them. The one without a face knew this well. And with a name in its grasp, the next step was inevitable. Google Dorks, an old trick, but one that never fails. A series of crafted search strings, pulling the threads tighter, leading to a website. Only one. It had hoped for more, but even demons must sometimes work with what they find. A law firm, her name etched into its digital walls. But the surface told him little. There had to be something more, something the numbers had not yet revealed. The numbers don't lie. Humans do. Humans. And the fragile things they build. And map was next. Mapping the bones of the website, tracing the pathways, the hollow places where secrets hide. It could have even used things like the Wayback Machine or archive website to find the dusty things, but there was no desire for that. A website is just another structure, a house of information, and every house has its weak points. He found the gaps, the breaks in the walls, the pattern of the URL, folders, a pathway half forgotten by the ones who built it, but not locked. Mistakes, human mistakes. For the one, crawling through these spaces came naturally. It didn't need permission. It slipped into the cracks, pushing through the unseen places. And the wish, like so many others before it, was granted. The admin had tried to hide the path, removing the buttons that led deeper. But removing the signposts doesn't close the road. The folder was still there, open and waiting. And the one without a face entered. An old post, unindexed, but not forgotten. A roster of the firm's lawyers, her name among them, certification numbers, professional details, and their emails. Confirmation. She thought she was safe, thought the pages were buried. But the one without a face doesn't bury. It unearths. Now, the pieces were falling into place. The face, the name, the law firm. This was the person. And the doxing continued. One quiet step at a time. Act 4. The open door. It wasn't hard to find her. A name, a profession, and a little patience. The one without a face had all the time in the world. Using her name, the one from the others. Combined techniques. Stitching together the fragments from the search. A methodical combination of tools, crawling through the cracks of the web. And there it was, her Instagram. Wide open, like a door left swinging in the wind, inviting something inside. And when you leave a door like that open, something always comes in. Her Instagram was no different. It was her life, laid out for the world to see. Inspirational quotes, the kind no one ever reads. Pictures of her achievements, showing off for an audience that never cared. The lonely ones. They always show too much. They shout into the void, hoping someone will hear. And in that shouting, they leave cracks. Cracks for something to crawl through. Among the noise of her posts, there was something real. 4 photos of the same document, shared again and again. A government acknowledgement, given to her for becoming the head of a small lawyers group in a town near the capital. But in her arrogance, she left a detail exposed. The tracking number, clear and easy to trace. A tiny mistake. Maybe she forgot. Maybe didn't know that that matters. Maybe didn't care. And with that, it knew. She had to be living close to that town, near enough to run her little group. But that wasn't the only thing she gave away. She posted more. A cup of tea, a chair by the balcony. Ordinary moments, but it saw what she couldn't. In one photo, there was more than just her tea and chair. There was a view, a glimpse of the world beyond the balcony, a piece of the puzzle she didn't know she was building. The devil doesn't need much to find you. You leave the door open just a crack, and in he comes. Act 5. The webs we weave. The one from the others was patient. It always had been. Social media was a playground of connections, webs spun without a thought, but never without consequence. Her followers, her comments, the silent threads tying her to others. The one started spinning, node by node, string by string. Her life was lonely. No children, no husband, no one to notice if something went wrong. That's what made the web so fragile. But even the lonely ones have their connections. The closer strangers, the pretending friends. The comments on her posts were almost comical. Fake proud moments, generic congratulations, empty words. But the one from the others didn't care about sincerity. Every response, every like, was a connection. With observation and the use of its tools, it began to map her life, web by web, building a complex graph of her small world. Even hollow interactions left trails. The lonely ones, the semi-friends. Each connection laid bare in the form of first, second, and 3 RD degree ties. Her closest ones, the ones who mattered most, they called her by a different name. And there it was, the first name, the one found in the reverse search. It became clear. She lived with 2 names, one for her professional life, the lawyer, public figure, the other hidden among her personal interactions. A dual existence, each one serving a different purpose. A name for her friends, a name for her work. It all fit together, piece by piece. The graph was essential. Her social media interactions were more than just words. They were the key to understanding the full scope of her life. And now, it knew where to hit and how to break her. Act 6. The contact. By now, the one from the others had her world mapped. But there was one thing left, the final piece. It needed to make contact, to walk through the door it had carefully pried open. A sock puppet account. A fake identity, woven from shadows and lies, like a mask stitched together from forgotten faces. It pretended to be a distant acquaintance. 3 RD degree. Not first degree, where she would recognize the truth. Not second degree, where she could ask around. No, the one knew that 3 RD degree connections are the sweet spot. People, they avoid conflict. They'd rather believe they've forgotten than admit they've been tricked. And the one from the others understood this human weakness all too well, even if it wasn't one itself. So it approached, carefully, like a snake moving through tall grass, never rushing, never making a sound. The conversation was simple, about a mutual acquaintance, a legal case. She was a lawyer after all, and the one from the others played dumb, but interested, establishing rapport. She never suspected. Why would she? It was all so normal. But demons don't act during the day. They wait until night falls, when the world is quiet. That's when the one made its move. A document sent under the cover of darkness, infected with something far worse than a virus. A spyware. A file that let the one from the others look at her whenever it wanted. It wasn't enough to know her. The one needed to see her, needed to watch. She opened it. Of course she did. The infection was complete. Then came the final push. The one played dumb again, asking about how to submit the legal document online, pretending confusion, apologizing, being kind, innocent, grateful. A few well-placed words. And she believed it all again. The one from the others needed her to take a picture of the submission button on the website. Could you send it to me on Telegram? The one asked. The other platforms downgrade the quality, and I won't be able to see the text clearly. Innocent, right? No. This was the last piece of the puzzle, and she didn't even know it. She took the pictures, sent them through Telegram. It took about 6 minutes, this conversation, just long enough for her to seal her own fate. The one from the others knew she had taken the photos with her phone in her house that night. It opened the images, ran them through an EXIF extractor, and there it was. The last thing it needed. Her physical address, embedded in the raw data of the photos she'd taken in her own home at night, thinking she was helping someone. She wasn't helping. She was letting it inside. With that, the devil came in, and she was taken. rest has not been told. She was never found, and the case remains open to this day. Her disappearance, another echo lost in the shadows, where the light never reaches into the echoes of the liminal.